Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Fell Pole to Fell Pole podcast with your host, Tyler Black. Brought to you by Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. Presented by the Tell Valhalla Project, where heroes live forever.
Hey, that's right. I'm Tyler with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, and I got a brand new one for you today. I want to talk a little bit about our body language, and it's not just our players, but it's also our coaches and our parents. Man, we got to have good body language. Just at the end of the day, somebody describes their body language, they got to be able to describe it as good. What I'm talking about is maybe a bad play, maybe a situation doesn't go your way, something like that. Man, there's a player, there's a parent, there's another coach, there's a fan, there's somebody that's going to be looking at you, waiting for a reaction. We've got to do something about the overall atmosphere around youth sports. And it starts with us as coaches. Our body language has got to be above reproach, because our players are going to act the same way. There's a couple of different scenarios I want to get into from experience that I just want to put out there and shed some light on it so that it doesn't happen again, or at the very minimum, it doesn't happen as much. So this is a situation that I was involved in. I wasn't coaching. I was a parent at the time. Big time situation, big time game. Or at least we thought it was at the moment. And we all think every game is the biggest game. And sometimes they are. But anyway, playing in a summer tournament. And it's hot. You know, the players are hot, the coaches are hot, the fans are hot, the umpires are hot. Everybody's hot out there. So that just raises the temper a little bit, if you will. The umpire in the game, on a couple of different occasions, either lost track of the count or he lost track of the outs. And it happens from time to time. They're not perfect. It's going to happen. I get it. But, you know, we do want the umpire to sort of be in control of the game, or at least, you know, keep it to where everyone is on the same page. Everybody's playing the same time here. Well, it had gotten to the point where one of the coaches on the field, it had made him mad. His team was one of the better teams. I mean, they had been beating most of the teams around in the area. And, you know, so he had a chip on his shoulder. And he always has. Every time I've seen him around the ball field, he's always been like that. But anyway, this particular instance, he just had enough with this umpire. It was at the end of the day. And so he started chirping at the umpire, letting him know, like, you know, you're terrible. I don't want you to umpire another one of my games. I'm going to talk to the tournament director, this and that. Well, they, you know, finally were able to sort of squash that one instance. Well, wouldn't you know it? He did it again. He forgot how many outs there were. Well, about that time, that's when that coach started to come from the dugout, and they started to almost square off with each other. And before you know it, the umpire's taking off his gear, he's untucking his stuff, and they're about to square off and start to throw hands. You know, we can talk a lot about the body language in an instance like that, the folding of the arms, the staring down of the umpire, just different ways where the situation could have been de-escalated early on. There could have been a conversation, but neither one of those adults wanted to give any ground. So they wanted to have that macho posture, if you will. They wanted to stand there and let the other one know that, hey, I know we're not talking, but you can see my body language that shows you I'm not happy with what you're doing. Instead of squashing it between an inning, apologizing, even if you're not wrong, apologizing, trying to get through that moment to show the kids to live on to fight another day. You know, try to be the bigger person in the moment and kind of squash it and move on, because once everything cools off and you get out of that moment in the game, you can probably look back and laugh about it. I saw that situation, and I thought of how many different ways it could have went, and it didn't. It went the worst way it possibly could. I mean, it come to blows. Luckily, no one was hit, no one was hurt, no one was injured. But another situation, when we're talking about body language, you know, you see these pitchers, these young pitchers, they think everything they do is under a microscope, and it's because us as parents have done that. We've made it that way. We put it out there to where it's almost like the child gets into trouble if they fail, or if they lose, or if they don't win, or if they're not the best. We put all this pressure on them. Well, the kid already wants to win. The kid already wants to succeed. The kid already wants to be the best they possibly can. So when we're talking about pitchers, you can watch a pitcher whether she's got it or not. There'll be one pitch, and she may think she threw a strike and the umpire doesn't give her the call. You'll see that body language. You'll see her reaction out there. Now, there's a big difference between being a competitor and being a poor sport and not being able to have control of your emotions. And everybody sees it. Coaches see it. College coaches see it. National level coaches see it. So one time, this is probably almost 2 years ago now. Just the girl she's one of the top pitchers in the area and just cruising and dominates most of the time she's pitching until she gets to some of the bigger tournaments and the competition kind of levels out, and she's just, you know, one of the better pitchers that are there. Well, for whatever reason, she just didn't have command of her stuff that day. Who knows why? It happens to all of them. But instead of sort of owning that and being okay with it, say, hey, you know what? Today I don't have it, but 95% of the time I do have it. Today's one of those days that I'm struggling, whatever. She took it out on her teammates. There was, if a ball went foul, she's standing there in the circle with her leg cocked out to the side, arms folded, waiting to get another ball. If she wouldn't get a pitch called that she wanted, she would show up the catcher. If she threw a pitch and she thought it was a strike and the umpire wouldn't give her the strike, she would try to show up the umpire. You could just tell. And it wasn't in this girl. She didn't do it all the time, but she did it enough to where you started to notice it. And you almost feel bad for the child because she's been pushed a certain way and been put in a situation. Maybe it's by coaches, maybe it's by parents, maybe it's by environment, who knows? But to where that stuff is sort of tolerated. It's like she's our stud, she's our best player, and that's in air quotes. So it's okay for her to act this way. And it's not. You can't have that kind of body language. We can't do that as players. We can't condone that as coaches and as parents. Body language is huge. And the reason why I wanted to speak about that today is when you watch professional athletes, they, for the most part, they carry themselves to a higher standard. And at the end of the day, we as amateur coaches, amateur athletes, hope to eventually be good enough to be paid to be professional athletes. Well, we have to act a certain way. We have to act like we want to be there. Now, I know there are some outliers and there's some goofballs out there in the professional world that, you know, they got a pacifier in their mouth that don't go their way. They try to show up whoever they can, and they'll have bad body language. But those are teaching moments for us as parents and us as coaches to say, hey, we don't want you acting like that. We want you acting like example A, B, or C. Okay, so when it happens, we have to teach from it. It's going to happen. We want it to happen so we can teach from it, but we don't want it to become commonplace to where now it's like a 50-50 thing. And I'm not saying that is where it's at now, but, we do have to know the difference between bad body language, poor body language, and good body language. And I'll leave you with this. If nothing else hit home, what if you had a 5-year-old daughter, 6-year-old daughter that was starting out in the game, and she formed a relationship with one of these older girls, these 14 or 16 girls. And there was an instance that happened when she went to the game to watch her favorite pitcher play, but that pitcher had done something that now you have to explain to your daughter. It's a hard discussion to have with a 5 or 6-year-old to tell them why that's not okay to act certain ways. And then fast forward that, because at some point that little 5 or 6-year-old is going to grow up and she's going to be in those shoes. How is she going to act? Are we exposing them to the right thing? Are we making sure that we are forcing the environments that our children are in are pure? Are we forcing them to be in a situation to where they're going to grow and not let themselves down? Because at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to. We have to help these girls mature, and we have to help them get through these situations so they become better, and then they in turn become mentors themselves. So just want to talk a little bit about body language before we get going with this season. It's something, coaches, we can talk about real quick with the team. Just say, hey, look, today practice, I want everybody to pay attention to their body language. At the end of practice, we're going to kind of call an end to it. We're going to have a little bit of a meeting, and I'm going to ask you about your body language. It's that quick. It's that easy. We can talk about it. And then before you know it, in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, you'll see the ones that had bad body language for whatever reason, or the ones that were on the verge of it, or the ones that had a couple of different outbursts over time. Those now have put a spotlight on it, and they can control it a little bit better. Open that dialogue up. Talk to your players about it and say, hey, look, this is where we've got to carry ourselves. There are people that are watching us. There are little girls sitting in the stands just like you were one day. And you're out there watching your heroes. Do you want some little girl to see her hero acting like a butt out there? So that's all I want to do, coaches, help you out a little bit with that. Got to bring it to your attention. Maybe remind you. You maybe thought about it a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago. Hey, I need to talk about body language at our next practice. Boom. Talk about it as soon as you can. Okay, it's a big topic. Give them some examples. Whether it's coaching, whether it's playing. We see it all the time. So if you like this type of stuff, man, if you like this content, if you're checking it out over there on the YouTube or wherever you're getting it at, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, wherever, I do appreciate it. And if you like it, man, share it with a friend. And when you do, you tell them you love them.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's Golo.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's Golo.com. Again, Golo.com.